express joy, because, you know, Bach had 20 children, you know. You're a little bit depressed. If you are depressed, be my guest, it's fine, but don't bring it into the music. On the contrary, let the music suffuse you with that mood of joy and exuberance and love, which is what Bach did better than anybody. We are like priests. We musicians, we're priests. And we have a congregation. And we can't afford to do self-indulgent things like be depressed, or look depressed, or think about ourselves. I'm a very important priest. You know, the priests like that, or the vicars like that, they take them away in a white van, you know, because they don't understand that people aren't coming to the church to see them. You get that? It's about something. You know what he wrote when he finished a piece of music? You know what Bach wrote at the end of every piece of music? You know what he wrote? For the glory of God. Right? So we're priests. And you just did that. And the faces were just spectacular. That's a successful sermon. Thank you. And you know what I just want to acknowledge for a moment? Jonathan is a finished artist. He's not a kid. He's not even really a student. He's an artist. He came in here with a beautiful point of view and strongly expressed and convincingly expressed. And then, boom, he changed it. That is essential. It's essential for everybody in life, but boy, is it essential for musicians. That ability to just change, put on a new mask. And you did that absolutely magnificently. Everybody appreciated it. I mean, there was no resistance, but wait a minute, I'm important, none of that. You just said, oh, this is curious, how nice, I'll try it, and did it brilliantly. So that's very moving to watch somebody do that. It's very, very moving. So be a storyteller. It still looks too placid. Even before you come up, even before you start, you have to say, I have a story for you, my dears. You wait, this story is so beautiful. And that's a statement. That's like an old man telling a story, and there are a lot of young people around. And then he says the next thing. You have a relationship. It's as if there's a wire going from you to every single player in the orchestra, like that. Directly from your heart to theirs, and from that to the audience. These two kids up here, come, you two, we need you. Could you come here? Just sit here. We need you both. Here, perfect. Just sit on the floor. Right. Great, thank you. Now, there. So instead of having a bunch of cynical orchestra players, you've got two children. Yeah, already you're a different person. Isn't that amazing? Because you're suddenly interested in these two.
I think you've stumbled on something.
Yeah, that's great. But you're doing much better. I mean, it's like it's gone up. So can we go another whole level? The trouble is you care what you look like. That's the difference. I don't care at all what I look like. I care about the music and conveying it. And you're worried about what your appearance. Who cares? The highest compliment I was ever paid, somebody said, you have no pride. Oh, great, terrific, thank you. So don't have any pride. Just get the music through you, through your body, through your arms, through your face, and get it to the children. One of the things you have to develop in order to be an effective conductor is a range of emotional gestures so that the orchestra players can see what you're thinking. Because at the moment, they're wondering, what's he thinking? And when you're playing the piano alone, that's fine. But it's not alone when you're in front of an orchestra. You have to be absolutely clear at all times exactly what you want them to do. And they'll produce it for you without fail. But if you go, no, they won't know. Right? So let's do that opening clarinet solo. I recommend that you don't look at the music 5 times before you conduct, because that's like saying, what is it? What's it? What are we, which piece? Tchaikovsky? They will lose all faith in you. If people don't understand what you're saying, it's not their fault. Do you realize always that's true? Wonderful, Nikolai, you're great. You made a mistake in the middle, and you made a face. You remember you forgot a little bit and you went, like that. People do that when they make mistakes. I recommend when you make a mistake to go like this. How fascinating. It's much better. It's much, much better because it takes away that, you know. Oh, we made a mistake, so how fascinating. Okay, yeah. I think you're a great musician and a great cellist. You're not yet a great storyteller. And I think it's because you're more interested in your cello playing than you are in what's happening in the audience. In fact, I don't think you think about the audience very much. I think you think, I really want to play well so that I'll be accepted and happy and, you know, get a good paycheck and all of that. Not that I think you think about that at all. Do you understand? In other words, I think your attention is here. The greatest musicians don't seem to think about their instruments at all. They see their instruments only as a megaphone to speak to people. The question is now, how interested are you in making that available to people so that they never forget you? You're still interested in the cello. The cello is just your megaphone, your voice to speak. Could you come a little closer so she really gets that she's talking to you? Yeah, no, imagine. And imagine that they've never heard anything about it. This is all new to them. Right? So focus all your, and imagine, it's hard. He's 6, he's just turned 6. Incidentally, your audience is always 6. If you grow up in a certain way and you move in a certain direction and you aren't willing to go off that path, you'll end up being careful and safe. And then they'll put on your gravestone, she was safe. Can you give everything you have? Can we do this? That's right. Oh, no, it's too tight, but that's right. So, one, yes. Oh, this is going to be great. Yes, now we got it. Oh, terrific. Okay, lead into it. Here it is. Here it comes. If somebody asks you, what do? You say, I transform people's lives. That's what I do. Oh, and incidentally, I play the cello. Poor guy, you know, I'm sorry for attacking you, but you were in the front row. I always say this is the front row of your life. See, Beethoven meant that as an attack. He meant it as an attack on complacency. Are you excited by it? Inform your face about it. Fortissimo! Right. I don't think you're really excited about this music because your face just reminds, oh, this is really nice. Yeah, I like it. It's a good tune. No. No, don't conduct. Don't conduct. Don't be a conductor. Give away the music. You see, when orchestra players see a conductor, they're all right, I'll just play. Because you're not telling them anything. Right? Tempo. Now, I believe you were not in the session before. Is that you were not here? Yeah. And I know what you were doing, weren't you? You were practicing, weren't you? Do you know you need practicing like New York needs more traffic? Right. Can you get out of that worry about will I be ready, will my fingers move? Because if I woke you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you could play that well. It's a difference. Otherwise, the orchestra, I'm done, but it's your job to get the orchestra, not the conductor. Isn't it astonishing that you can take a group of people who've walked in off the street randomly or driven long distance, and in a matter of seconds, you can change their entire mood, their sense of who it is to be alive, how it is to be alive, just by a few notes of Bach. One thing I recommend, and I don't care how long it takes you, tune carefully.
Sure. I didn't change the strings last night.
Right, yeah, all of those things. So don't arrive late, don't, you know, all those things. This is a real wake-up call for you, because it's a great privilege for you to have these extraordinary people. They've come a long way to hear you, and get there early, you know, an hour early. My harpist, the harpist of the Boston Philharmonic, arrives 1 hour before every rehearsal to tune. And do something you've never done before. Always do something new. Even if you're doing the same thing, make it new. Do you understand what I'm saying? Just some.
That's what artists like.
Right. That, otherwise, you're just repeating. Here we go. When you stand up to receive the applause, be with them the way that they are being with you. Right? They're feeling gratitude, joy, amazement, admiration, love. Most of our young musicians are brought up to think of the audience as the enemy. Right? Is that right? They're the people who are critical, they want you to make a mistake, they hope you're not as good as their friend who's playing next, and all of that. Actually, it's not the case. The audience is the friend, the lover of the performer, and they want you to play fantastically, and they want you to do the best you can do. And the way you know that is because they're expressing that on their faces. So focused on playing really, really beautiful. And your attention is on that. And if I could say this, what's next for you is your relationship with the audience and telling the story of this music in such a way that they are touched in spite of your great cello playing. Do you get it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, can you understand that? Because it's such a strange thing to say in a way. Your playing is only a vehicle to the heart. It's a roadway to the heart. It is not the heart itself. What I would wish for you, although you'll never do it, is to play like a pig sometimes. I bet you've never been asked to do that. Since you were this high, always play better, play better, play better, play in tune, play. No, don't worry about that. You never need to worry about that. But will you give us access to our heart? My conducting students, don't conduct. Don't conduct. Conducting is not what an orchestra needs. Conducting is being the music. You might even raise your eyebrows. It's just a question. You don't know the answer. You're, oh no. You have a number of physical gestures which suggest you're worried. Very few pieces of music were written to represent worry. I'm going to give an assignment. Give everything you've got. Look at her face. Do you see, it's about that. And we forget, in the music schools, we forget it because everybody's so busy and rushing and classes and the grades. Oh my God, the grades. That's why I give all my students at the beginning of the year, I gave them an A. Right at the beginning of the year, I didn't have to worry anymore. Isn't that great? Give everybody an A. Just give everybody an A in your life. You'll be amazed what happens. And you know what we used to do in that class? I would ask them to write a letter at the beginning of the year, right in September, and I'd say, write a letter dated May, that's when the class ended, in May of the next year, and you're in May, and then you write, Dear Mr. Sand, I got my A because. Then they would write, describing who they would have become by the next May. And that's the person I would teach, the person that they had in that letter. You missed a note. I was very happy when you missed it. You were miserable. Because perfection is great, but it's not enough. And that's our job. We're like preachers. We teach people about life. We teach people what's available to us as human beings. Love and sorrow and joy and the capacity for overcoming huge odds. So what's the issue for you? And it's a big deal because this is your life. I mean, are you going to be a really good cellist or are you going to make a difference in the world as an artist? And that's what's here at stake today. Mm-hmm. So the assignment, give everything you have and then watch the ripples. You're missing out on a lot of information that's coming to you because you never look up. Now, I believe the exact opposite, which is you cannot learn anything unless you make a mistake. So I tell my students, when you make a mistake, celebrate. And the way to celebrate is like this. How fascinating! The world of possibility, the realm of possibility. And this is where the vision is. And vision is very important. Vision is really important. Because people get confused about vision. They say, oh, our vision is to be number one. No, that's a goal. Vision, to be a vision, has to be for everybody. 3% of the population likes classical music. If we could move it to 4%, our problem would be over. I say everybody loves classical music, they just haven't found out about it yet. How would you walk? How would you talk? How would you be if you thought 3% of the population likes classical music? If only we could. How would you talk? How would you walk? How would you be if you thought everybody loves classical music? They just haven't found out about it. These two worlds are totally different worlds. That's what happened. I realized my job was to awaken possibility in other people. If the eyes are shining, you know you're doing it. If the eyes are not shining, you get to ask a question. Who am I being that my player's eyes are not shining? By all means, you have a goal, and if you make the goal, great, and if you don't, how fascinating. We all know why we have goals. Why do we have goals? To make our eyes shine, that's all. That's the reason we have a goal. So if the goal posts are too close together, you can't score. If they're too far apart, it's too easy. So if it's not working, the eyes aren't shining, move the goalposts. You know, that's the thing. Now, over here you have the words you should, you ought, you need, and you must. Try those out on your children and see if their eyes shine. Over here we have things like, how about, what if, what are we looking for? What's next? Over here you see totally different language, totally different. Now over here you have blame and fault and threat. And over here, requests and apologies, totally different. This is where we put people down and also put people up. Over here, everybody gets an A. It's a totally different world. The conductor of an orchestra doesn't make a sound. Now my picture appears on the front of the CD. But the conductor doesn't actually make a sound. He depends for his power on his ability to make other people powerful. I realized that my job was to awaken possibility in other people. Now, it became from there a real question whether I was doing that. And the way you find out whether you're doing that is to look at their eyes. If their eyes are shining, you know you're doing it. And if the eyes are not shining, you get to ask a question. And this is the question. Who am I being that my player's eyes are not shining? We can do that with our children. Who am I being that my children's eyes are not shining? Those of you, when you get to my age, will have this experience of having grandchildren. One of mine, who is 6, doesn't walk, she skips. Everywhere she goes like this. Now, you don't see this much on Wall Street. They don't do that on Wall Street. Somebody did that on Wall Street, they'd come along in a white van and take them away. But all my grandchild is saying is, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy you're here too. Situation hopeless, they don't wear shoes. And glorious opportunity, they don't have any shoes yet, along with the hand motion, is a totally different world. And we get to choose at every moment of every single day which place we're standing in. Vision, to be a vision, has to be for everybody. There must be nobody who's left out. 3% of the population likes classical music. If we could move it to 4%, our problem would be over. I say everybody loves classical music. They just haven't found out about it yet. Now, the question is, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you be if you thought 3% of the population likes classical music? If you could move it to, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you be if you thought everybody likes classical music? They just haven't found out about it. So we think mistakes matter. Mistakes don't matter. Right? That didn't get in the way because your face didn't fit with what you were expressing. That didn't fit at all. But you forget because you're so musical and you're so interested in your cello. Be interested in life and relationships and what the composers are trying to say. You're a priest. Imagine you're a priest or a rabbi, and your congregation is feeling the cosmic pulse. What does that do to you? It makes you feel terrific. And if you're feeling terrific, you wouldn't look so gloomy. And you're looking gloomy because you're worried because you've got an audition. But you already got into the schools. You should see the letter of recommendation I wrote. They'll put you on the faculty. Don't worry. Right? Don't worry. But now do it again. And this is your congregation. They're feeling
the cosmic pulse of Bach, and all you have to do is enjoy yourself. You're very smart, extremely smart, which is a problem. Some of the best musicians are not smart in the way that you're smart, because they actually, their minds are not full of stuff. They're just being with the music. Well, here's my instruction. I love to dance. I really love to dance. So if you could get that from me, I'd be so happy. So this is what you do. You go into your room and you put down the curtains, right, so nobody can laugh, and put on some music and dance. But really dance. Dance so that your body's just lifting. Because human beings are born to sing and to dance. And then procreate. But then sing and dance. So do the second half and dance. Here we go. It's hard, isn't it? Yeah. This guy did something very beautiful. I want to share this story with you, but it's so beautiful. He went into Harvard Square to play the viola to raise money for the youth orchestra tour. He does it frequently. And he was playing the viola in Harvard Square. And there was a woman who came, and she looked in the trash, and she took out a Danish, which was half eaten, and she ate it. And a man, and he immediately started thinking, I'm playing the viola to raise money for a bunch of spoiled kids to go to South America, and this woman doesn't have anything to eat? That doesn't seem right. That thought was in his mind. And then a man passed by and didn't take any notice of the woman and left some money in his case, right? And then the woman turned around, looked at him, listened, went in her pocket and took out a quarter and put it in his case. And he wrote me a letter and said, can you help me sort that out? Or, you know, so many thoughts. But what a beautiful story. I mean, the world is full of generosity. You're showered with generosity. You're swimming in generosity, in abundance and love. Wow, isn't that right? Mm-hmm. And Bach is writing about that. And he wrote at the end of every piece, for the glory of God. Right? Isn't that beautiful? That's the world you're walking into when you play a piece of Bach. It should affect your whole body, your being, your... And he had 20 children. So he had fun as well. If you could get that into your being, Bach would be alive in this room. Now, you have the same disease that your friend Joe has, which is that you look at your fingers all the time. Do you need to look at your fingers, do you think? No, I don't think so. Can you smile? Can you skip? Do you know how to skip? Should we skip together? Yeah, let's skip together. I'll take your violin. Yeah. Okay, now come back. And now smile. Can you smile? Now play the violin. Keep smiling. All right? I want to say a word to the mother. You're the mother, right? So mothers tend to worry. You know that? You worry. You worry. Let me ask you this question. First of all, do you think she's beautiful? Yeah.
According to my husband,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, she's beautiful. How about you?
No, not yet.
Really? I think she's gorgeous. Do you think she's doing well?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Do you think she's playing the violin well?
No.
No. Okay, now let me tell you something very important. This is the most important thing I can tell you. Your worry is perpetrating itself on her. If I were you, I would say, this is the most gorgeous child, the most wonderful child. She's doing fantastically well, and I have nothing but joy with her. Because if you worry about her, and you know what is going to happen? If you worry like that, she's going to grow up as a worried person instead of as a joyful person. Your job is to keep her skipping. That's the only job. That's the only job you have. You don't have any other job, all right? You don't have it. Because she'll be serious and dedicated and hardworking and achieve a lot because she sees her parents doing that. She doesn't need her parents to tell her that. Because at the moment, she's finding it very difficult to smile. That's, for me, the only thing that worries me about her. She isn't smiling. She can just about skip, but she can't skip and smile. When she can skip and smile, she'll be in good shape. So the real transformation in this room is not here, it's here. And not just you, but all your friends too.
Okay.
You worry about your children. You worry that they aren't practicing enough, they aren't doing schoolwork enough, and then they won't get into a good school, and then they won't get into a college, and they won't get a good job, and then they die. He's smiling, he's doing great. So the worry is the thing that kills us. Can you remember that? Keep her skipping and love her for just how she is perfect right now.
Thank you.
You got that?
Yeah.
It's the only important lesson of the day is right here, is for the mother. An enormous amount of time learning to play beautifully, practicing very hard, and playing in tune and playing everything right. And beautiful, everything is beautiful. And now the question is, what is it for? And who is it for? It's not for yourself. It's for other people. Right? Yeah. Play. Oh, wow, isn't that beautiful? You know, there's a famous story of the cellist in Czechoslovakia. He was playing in the orchestra, and he only played one note. He practiced one note. Like that. All the time, one note. And his wife stood this for 15 years. And then finally she said, Jan, why do you only play? Your colleagues, they play up and down the cello. You just play one note. And he said, you don't understand. They're looking for it. I found it. Right. Why did they have trills? Why did they play trills?
To elaborate on the music.
Yeah, but for what?
Like a flourish almost.
Yeah, what kind of flourish?
Just
joy. Like that. That's what a trill is. And everything's moving towards that trill, so everybody goes, yeah, like that. That's all it is. That's brilliant what you're doing. You know, my brother went to a football game of his son, and when they were leaving, he said to one of the other parents, he said, wasn't that a great game? And the other parent said, how can you say that? We lost. That was not what he was talking about. He was talking about having a great game. Not about winning and losing, it's about having a great game. Life is a game, and then you die. So you might as well have fun. Could you walk about everywhere you go and think of yourself as a contribution to the world? That's who you are. Don't say, am I? Just say, I am. I am a contribution in everything I do. So the first thing I would plead with you is never lose sight of the joy of making music and the sheer pleasure that you give yourselves, and because you're on a high level, that you give other people. Just that would add to your playing, right? What you could teach the professionals. You know, our orchestra, Boston Philharmonic, it's always consisted of three things: professionals, students, and amateurs. And I've held on to that for 44 years. And most people say, well, why didn't you make it a professional orchestra? I said, no, we need amateur, we need love. We need people like that who come to every rehearsal bursting with excitement and joy. And the professionals kind of get influenced, a little reluctantly. They feel that passion, and that's an incredible gift. It's such a valuable thing. Incidentally, every institution, every organization should have those three elements. The professionals set the standard. The students keep it as a training situation, learning, always learning. And the amateurs remind us that music is an act of love. It's essential. In all those three things are essential. And you can have them all. Bring purpose to the notes you play and the steps you take. That's our job. Our job is to bring alive these people in the audience. Otherwise, they're basically reading their iPhones. Now we're going to go over here, Joe. We're going to go over here because Annabelle is feeling a little scared because she's going to play next. Okay, so you're going to make her feel really great about playing next. Once again from the beginning, They're frightened because they don't know how well you're playing. Look at that man's face. He comes from India. I said, why are you here? He said, my parents called from India. They say, you've got to go to this class. And he's sitting there going, that's what Beethoven did to the world. Beethoven probably changed the world more than any other person. And they think Napoleon. No, Beethoven. Because he had an access to an extremity of expression that was given to very few people. And if you get a bad review, great, the bad reviews are just as good as the good ones. Right? You know, I have a friend who puts all his bad reviews on his website. Yeah, every time he gets, yes, he puts it all up there. Yeah, so let's be free, let's have fun, let's see what could the master have meant. Isn't that a great way of doing it? You know, they're not actually clapping you. What they're clapping is about the permission it gives them to lead their life at the edge. Right, that's why they're so enthusiastic. Look at these eyes, look at her eyes. Right? She's a freshman. She drove up from Connecticut today. 2 hours this morning. She had to get, you know, in order to get eyes like that. Where's that camera? Do you get the camera? Right. And look at her mum. Look at her eyes. That's why we do this. Is to get this. Look at him. I mean, he's about to explode. Like the fingers keep on saying, "Go away, go away, go away. Leave me alone." Right? I'm fine. I've practiced. I know how it goes. Get your head away. Up, in, out, everywhere, communicate. It's because your job is to communicate the joy of the piece. Why are you looking here? The people are here. Here they are. It's funny, you know, if I put a handkerchief here, this would be much better. Here. All right, now. And then to talk to them, talk to them. Now, when we make a mistake, we say, how fascinating. Otherwise, isn't that beautiful? Now life becomes a communication instead of a test. Wow. Life becomes a communication instead of a test. Everything is a test. The faculty make it a test, the audience make it a test, and worst of all, your colleagues make it a test. Because they're sitting there saying, how many wrong notes is she going to play? Not how touched am I by Beethoven's vision. Right. It's a huge shift. It's a shift of being. You got that? Yeah. And you're carrying a lot of weight. You have 2 children. You don't want to pass that weight on to your children, right? No. Okay, so can we give up that weight today? So that when you go back to your 2 children, what age, 2 and 4? Mm-hmm. Right, so those 2-year-olds, they don't want to be weighed down by worry, pressure, competition, fear, anxiety, because they'll need a lot of psychiatry in their older ages. Right? So your job is to give them love, enthusiasm, passion, vitality, connection, and security. Right? You could remove that burden of competition, essentially, comparison, measurement, fear, all that. We just remove it out of our life. Don't allow it in. It isn't welcome. And then Beethoven will help because he has a lot to offer. Right? You're a student here, but you're also a mother. So you have a greater responsibility as a mother than you do as a student. You know that? You know, musicians make a lot of fuss. They say, I don't feel well, or I need more time to practice. No, you don't need any time to practice. All you need is open brain. Your fingers will do what your brain tells them to do without fail. So the thing is to be clear with your brain. That's all that matters. I love your smile. Use it more often. It's beautiful, particularly with your children. Okay, don't deprive the children of your joy and your passion and your vitality and your dancing. Don't, because they will be less because of it. And incidentally, don't deprive your audiences either. So I'm going to say something very personal to you. I love you. I love your playing. I'm worried that you never smile.
So, and here's a problem, because I tell you something, this is really important, that we keep doing what we've already done. If you do something, it's like tell a story about yourself, and you tell it enough, you'll believe it. And it's the same with smiling. If you get used to not smiling and not being open with your face, that will become a habit. That's a bad habit. Can I ask you to get over that habit? Great. Oh, a little smile. We got that. We musicians often don't realize that what we're doing is a gift. You think they're clapping to say bravo. They're not saying bravo, they're saying thank you. Do you know the difference between bravo and thank you? Bravo is, well done, young ladies. You're doing very nicely, keep practicing. Thank you is, you opened up something in my life that has been dormant for a year. Do you understand? That's what that applause is. Thank you. What I recommend you do is you wake up every morning and tell the story that you are a contribution to the world. And you know what it'll do? It'll make you smile. What is your name?
Peter.
Peter? Great, Peter. Can you say Peter as if you are really proud of that name? What is your name?
Peter.
Great! Now, Peter, for the rest of your life, every time somebody asks you your name, you say,
Peter.
great, terrific. And that could spill over into all the other things you say as well, because it's not necessary to be apologetic about your voice. This young gentleman's name is Peter. Right. Everybody knows your name, isn't that great? And the reason everybody knows your name is because you said it with clarity and with confidence and with power. We've got to get the same quality into your playing. You need a companion and a coach to help you with this, because the distractions in life are enormous. Television and football and all the stuff that you love to do. Friends and email and Facebook and all that stuff. So you need somebody to help you. Do you have somebody in your life who can be a coach and a companion, like a parent? Yeah, could you enroll your mother, for instance, in helping you? Not saying, Peter, go and practice, but Peter, do you remember what it feels like to play for a lot of people and play really well? Let's go and practice. I had a father who did that for me, and it was great. He came home from the office, he was probably very tired. He never brought his briefcase. You know, in all the years that I was growing up, I never saw my father with a briefcase. He left that at the office. When he came home, he was available to us. And the first thing he did was he would practice with me. And it was amazing. I'm so grateful to him, because I think if he hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have done it. Probably would. I loved to play soccer, football. And so I would go out and play football. But then I would always come back to practice with my father. And practice with my father, and practice with my father, and practice. So if you can get, you don't need to practice with somebody, but if you can get somebody to join you in reminding you, in helping you, and then I think you have a chance of doing something very special. Look, he's smiling. Right. You know, this is our ideal listener, because he's ready to be touched, to be moved, to be instructed, to be emboldened, to be loved, right? He's just sitting there waiting. And that we wished everybody in life was like that. Please, when you grow up, be like that. Okay? Right. So be available. And then our job is to fill that heart with what the music has to offer. Isn't that great? And he'll respond just like that. Actually, everybody will. Some people express it less than he does, but everybody feels it. So that was great. That fast tempo is very bright. But if you're excited by this music, please inform your faces about it. Because your faces don't give a clue to what the piece is about. Everybody should be able to tell in a silent film, even if there was no sound, what the piece is about. Some of you have great smiles, terrific smiles. You'll go far in life. A smile is a very, very, very effective device to engage with people. If you don't have a smile, work on it. Okay, just practice. Get up in the morning and smile, but not smile, but smile, oh my God, I'm so happy to be alive. like that, smile with your eyes. I had a teacher who said to me something very beautiful. He said, Ben, he said, you'll never play well until you learn to play badly. That was a revelation. And so I started playing badly, and it helped my playing no end. All right. Now, when you played that round up, you were so worried about missing it that you played badly, but you didn't intend to play badly. Music speaks to the emotions, and getting people's emotional connectiveness, that's what it does. It brings people together, it breaks down the barriers of it's me rather than you.
How we speak is a musical act, and being aware that we are producing music by speaking is transformational.
We train leaders to speak musically instead of, this no, it's very monotonous and lets people down. We train people to release the sound of the language so it soars. I was thinking about singing and get yourself into the state of you're standing in a dark dream and you're looking at this business, right? Beautiful, otherwise everything was perfect. Now the mood. And thank you for being so clear in your description, because that tells us also what kind of a singer you are. Most of the people come here to play because they're the New England Conservatory or they're doing a graduate class or something like that. He's a nurse, right? I met him looking after a friend of mine. And I just sensed that you were a singer, something special. I mean, I've never heard him sing a note. It's amazing. And you're a beautiful singer and a beautiful communicator, and that's what makes you such a good person to look after Nick Littlefield. But these 3-minute songs create a whole world. We know all about this man's experience, and we knew all about Gretchen's experience, because he takes us to the extremity of the feelings, as perhaps no other composer does. Sure, looking after Nick Littlefield helps you with your singing.
It does.
And I know that your singing helps you look after Nick. See, for me, music and life are one thing. There's no separation.
I'm discovering that as I go along.
Yeah.
So.
It's all one thing. And you cannot be a greater musician than you are a person. You can't be a greater person than you are a musician. It's just linked together. More. So everybody in the audience said, wow, I would have, whatever she's having, I want that. All right, okay, great. We'll do one more time. You just start to describe him, and as you describe him, you start getting, oh my God, and the crescendo builds, and the... That's right. Do you know, that's what I mean about give everything you have, and then you find that you've got to understand, everybody understand that leader depends as much on the piano as it does on the singer. Without a great pianist, these songs don't work. You gave everything you have, and it's terrific. This is an example of somebody who doesn't hold back, and I know you don't hold back in any part. I've never met you before, but I know you don't hold back in any part of your life, which is great. That's a huge gift. One of the gifts artists have is to remind people how great it is to be free, to be unencumbered, to be available, to be richly engaged. That's part of our job as performers, is to give that model to people so they don't feel so restricted. Very good. Can you get the feeling that you're not playing the trumpet, but you're speaking for all humanity when you do that? You've got a voice, you've got a story to tell. You're telling, this is Mahler's view of the world, join me. Performer can't be expected to do everything because they have a tremendous amount to, but you can get a lot of energy towards the meaning of the piece, even without the conductor. But with, it's much easier, isn't it? It's much easier. It's not about, it's actually in the end not about the instrument, isn't that right? That pulls out everything you have in your soul to give. Can I tell you what that applause is about? That applause is saying, we spend our lives in ordinary, mundane affairs. And then Tchaikovsky comes in and reminds us that we have another whole world of passion, of love, of frustration, of sorrow, of tragedy, of desire, of the entire range of human emotion available through your horn. And you practice and practice and practice to play perfectly so that you can express that. The desire, the aim, the goal is not to play perfectly. That is not the aim. The aim is to make music like that, which you just did. We do not know better, right? The composer knows better. We just do what the composer says and you'll be safe. Isn't that exciting? It's heaven. And he is overcome with joy and excitement. He can't believe it. Right? So the reason I stopped you was because I realized you didn't know that. And I didn't want to go on hearing somebody sing something that they didn't know. Right? When you sing, when you know, then it's going to be quite different. Okay. Oh, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Look at her face. She got it. Isn't that great? You made a contact. And it's no longer about your singing and your voice. It's all about them and what they're getting, the experience that they're having. I'm so glad you've just eased up because you're so tight, you're so worried. You think it's about you. It's not about you. If only we musicians could get that. It's nothing to do with us. We're just a vehicle. Yep. Look at him. Look at him. I mean, he was thinking, my goodness, my goodness. Wow, that was beautiful. And that's what we want. We want always to have something that we're saying that people say, either, oh my goodness, or wow, or some reaction. Isn't that amazing? I mean, music is such an incredible thing because it's the most social activity ever devised by human beings because it brings people together like that over a non-vibrato sound. It's kind of a miracle. And now suddenly, don't be a singer. Just like I tell, don't be a cellist. Be available, totally. That was great. Do me a favor, when you do, like that, jump up in the air, right? Well, 1, 2, 3. I want you to get what this applause is about. It's not saying bravo, not saying you have a beautiful voice. Okay. It's not saying congratulations on your training. It's not saying anything. They're saying thank you for being available. Isn't that right? That's what they say. I can feel it. That kind of applause is not bravo. It's thank you. Thank you for living. Because you could easily say, look, I'm a singer and leave me alone. Right? Many singers do that. Maybe most singers do that. Right? Leave me alone. I'm a singer. I go, ooh. And you didn't do that. You jumped, you danced, you sang, you loved, you cried, you did all of that. And that's what Mahler calls us to do. Music calls us to do that. Life calls us to do that. And they know that, and they say, thank you for doing it for us. Isn't that incredible? You do it for them.
That's touching for me, too.
Yeah, that's exactly. Come here. Go. Look, you see, look at me guy. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Isn't that great? Beautiful, look. That's why we do it. Look. And the lady who came all the way from Utah. She came from Utah. Yeah. Look how happy they are. Do you know what Bach wrote when he finished a piece of music? Do you know what he wrote on the score? He wrote for the glory of God. Isn't that great? It wasn't for himself. It was for the glory of God, or whatever God means to you. You know, I think of possibility as being the world of God. It's an opening up of the human heart to be available to everybody, and that's what you were just doing. We don't play music for ourselves. We play music for the beautiful faces and the reactions, the shining eyes. That's why we do it. Isn't it great? I mean, that'll get you up in the morning. Really, it's just such a joy. And Bach is so full of God. I mean, enthusiasm is the theo in the word enthusiasm. Theo, that's God. So it's full of God or full of possibility. That's what our job is, to go into the world full of just energy and joy and being there and availability and giving it away. And that's what you're doing now. So that's your job, is to open people's hearts. And Casado was the master of that, of all masters. The moment you're doing so much that you're taking away from their energy. Interestingly enough, there's a wonderful thing to do now is for you to get your energy to go into the players and have them take over and be more energetic. Because at the moment they're saying, bravo, capitano. Do you understand that? We're going to do another thing. Now we're going to do it without conductor. So you're going to be the leader of the cellos. You're going to be, who's leading the seconds? He's leading. There, you're leading the second, you're leading the first. So see whether you can do it without me, okay? Without anybody. Here we go. Isn't that interesting? Because since there's no conductor, you have to be more energetic. All of you have to be more energetic. So imagine you're all leading, and you have to all be energetic and you have to lead the seconds. So try once again. You really need somebody out there waving their stick. That's bad news for us, right? But if you have a really good group and they're all paying attention and listening and watching, you don't actually need a conductor.